What's up guys, Sean here, and this is the second video of the UFC 3 beta. We are now way more time into it, about 4 days into it now. And so I've got a lot more time playing. I've been playing a few hours every day, and with a variety of fighters. In this one, I believe I'm Khabib. I was like, wait, I don't think of the knockout at the end to remember who I was, but I'm Khabib in this one. Not going to really wrestle. I kind of like his striking, though. I like the overhand options that he has one on both sides. I like that he has the short elbows, even though they barely ever seem to want to hit anything. But in general, I kind of like his striking. Now, he does have a little bit of a lack of pop sometimes in his punches. And unfortunately, I haven't been losing very often, but when I do lose, I do feel like I had him rocked like a bunch of times, and then they get me with like one good one, and it's like, well, now I'm fucked. And it's like, it is kind of comes down to the pop on his punches, but I get that, he's a wrestler, and I am abusing my like of his special moves to, get more out of him than probably should be, at least from the stand-up perspective. So, anyway, but my thoughts, at this point are kind of similar to my first video, but a little bit different. They did an update today to adjust the submission escapes. However, in the last couple days, having, read on Twitter and on Reddit and places that you're supposed to attack, like, all the gates on the first couple, rounds of, or, sets of transitions during the submission, and then attack, two towards the end, because that helps. I've been having more success getting out of them. However, there was one fight earlier today where a guy, he just kept, spamming submissions over and over and over and over again. Like, he did like 10 or 12 in the fucking fight. And he eventually did get me, because at some point you do lose out on that. My stamina had got low, and, the situation had deteriorated to the point where I just couldn't, get out of it anymore. And I still think that earlier in the day before the update, it was still a little bit difficult. I haven't really had a chance to escape too many since the update, but assuming they made it faster, it might be in a good place now, although I was seeing on Twitter and places that it might be too fast now. So they did say that the live tuning that they did doesn't allow them to adjust it necessarily correctly, just the overall speed, and so this isn't really the final plan, but they wanted to see, if they sped it up a bit, like how people felt. So I think that it's not as terrible as it felt at the beginning, although I still am not sure that it's correct. Like, I don't know why I should be just randomly attacking multiple gates with no plan, and then kind of, narrowing down a plan towards the end rather than having a plan the whole time. I don't know, like, because I've been attacking it by just, like, spinning the stick, basically, wildly, and that seems to have been helping, and I don't see how that makes any more sense than the last game's version of the submission system, so I'm not really sure why that would be. I will link a video below of what I think is sort of a exploit, a bug, something I discovered, which is if you're in side control bottom, and you just spam to go to sprawl or turtle, whatever you want to call it, you can just do it if you do it really fast, you don't lose any stamina, and you essentially lock out your opponent on top's ability to hit you, or really to transition or do anything at all. So that seems like an issue. I discovered it because when I did start wrestling with Khabib in some of the fights later, because I wanted to get a little bit of a look at the ground game, because I've been focusing so much on the striking, I was discovering that every time I got into side control, people were just spamming this, and I was like, what the fuck? And I wasn't really paying attention to their stamina bar, because, I basically was just looking at mine, because I really only cared about me at that time. But I tried it in a later fight. I just put myself in the bottom and then got to that position, and I just spammed it, and the guy got so frustrated, he just stood up. he got up and left. And I was like, well, yeah, and I wasn't losing basically any stamina. I'll link that video. I didn't post it publicly, but it's unlisted, so I can link it. And I think that needs to be looked at. In general, I saw people really disappointed that the ground and clinch game hasn't changed at all. And I definitely am. I think the clinch is still not very good. It's very, you're stuck in the mud, sort of. It just feels like two statues have been tied together. Like, it just doesn't feel natural. It feels weird. It doesn't feel like a clinch. You can't really, you don't move around very much. It is very awkward and robotic, and I don't know necessarily what they can do about that, but they actually did a good job making the striking way less robotic in this one, so maybe they have an idea or something they can do in the future to kind of adjust that. Somehow mixing that striking movement with the grappling system, it really is how the clinch should be. I don't know that that's even possible, because even the striking system has taken so many buttons to really navigate that I'm not sure what they could do there. But I'd be interested to see if they had a plan, because I do think the clinch has never been great. However, the ground game, I've kind of forgot about my complaint about the ground and pound from UFC 2, which is that you still, compared to THQ's final attempt in UFC 3, you still kind of, you have less choices of how to hit them. You can't seemingly elbow the body from side control, and you can't really strike with both hands from side control, and you kind of, I think you're allowed to knee to the body from side control. I'm pretty sure that's in here, but just in general, you have way less choices than I felt like THQ's games had. I think even THQ just had many more options for even the same strike. Like, essentially an elbow from side control is an elbow from side control, but in THQ's games, people had different elbows. If you went through and looked from side, like, there was definitely, I remember specifically, like, there was, like, close guard from top, like, GSP elbow, or Tito Ortiz, like, there were different elbows. I just remember there being, like, specific fighter named ones, and I just think that the ground and pound is a little stagnant, and I know that, like, the posturing up thing is because they have it as part of the transition system, and I don't mind that, but I should be able to do, like, a 12-6, or technically, what, like 3-9, 9-3, whatever, elbow to the ribs, and I should be able to, you know, do some different strikes with my ground and pound than I am, and it would open up, I think, a lot of ways to fix what I consider annoying, which is just the spamming of transitions, and I don't mean in the exploitive way, I just mean it's like you throw two elbows from side control, they try to transition, you block it, you throw two elbows, they try to transition, you block it, they throw two elbows. Like, if there were more ways to strike, then, like in other positions like mount or, like half guard, you could use the strikes to prevent them from getting up or transitioning, rather than just having the option to block it. Because, you know, one thing in MMA that's definitely true is there are often times where strikes are what prevent certain submissions or certain grappling positions from working. Like, you don't see so many leg locks because you get hit when you roll under the person, or, you know, like Damian Maia likes to pull half guard, and he's baited a lot of people into striking with him there, and he's able to get to their back, but for most people who aren't Damian Maia, that's a terrible idea, because pulling into half guard in MMA just means you get fucking hammered in the face for it. So there are a lot of, you know, disincentives to transition that are built into the sport based on, you know, striking being included, and I think that different strikes and different, you know, options would open up that system so that we don't always have to hold right trigger R2 and block after every single fucking punch, where we can just keep hitting them and, you know, put that disincentive into the game rather than in a button mashing situation. And this knockout I thought was pretty fun. I think I'm gonna do like a little highlight reel of some knockouts once the beta is complete, but I thought this was the first time I think I knocked anyone out with the uppercut. But the big overhand from the rear hand into the lead uppercut as his head bobs down and just put him to sleep. One more thing really quick that I just thought of because I saw that. Sometimes the ragdolls do seem to be in there, and sometimes they don't. Like, that one was a weird not ragdoll. Like, that was definitely a canned animation, but I have had some, you know, definitely unique ragdolls. I think there might be a little bit of a bug between when it goes to like a TKO animation and when it goes for the straight knockout. Like, that was a straight knockout, so I think I should have got the ragdoll rather than the TKO, and it seemed to go with a TKO animation. I don't know if that's true, but that definitely seems how it is. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all later.